Here we go again. We got some more Apple news. Welcome back to the channel. If you watched me before, you know kind of how this all works, right? I'm going to go through a bunch of different sales items at Apple and show you what's on sale right now. And then I get into about 10 or 15 different wacky news stories from Apple. A lot of them are funny, a lot of them are just interesting, some of them are sometimes useful, right? Anyways, sit back and relax. We're going to get into it right now. I think I got up to at least 15 different stories. If you love Apple, you're going to love these. Let's go. All right, so the very first one I want to talk about is the products. So here we go. Apple 14.2 MacBook Pro with M1 Max chip and Apple Care protection, mind you, right here. Now this is late 2021, but it's $27.78. And you're going to say, why is that a good deal? Well, look at this. It's the M1 Max chip right here, 64 gigs of RAM and a 2 terabyte SSD, right? On the 14.2 inch, that's going to do a lot of video editing. It's a great system. This cost, believe it or not, is $1,600 off, so it's instant savings of $1,600. So that's $1,600 off the original price. You have to want to, you're going to have to need this if you're going to buy it. It's a lot of money, but it's still a really good deal. All right, Best Buy's got a sale going on right now. It is the Apple 10.9-inch iPad right here, the latest model. Here's the blue color, $399. It's usually $449, so you get $50 off. So if you can get this at Best Buy, it's a good time to pick it up. It might drop before Christmas, but it's still a fairly good price. All right, then finally this last one. Last week I did something on this and it was like $330 or $320. It's dropped again. So here's the Apple Watch Series 8 right here. You can see it. This is the 41 millimeter though. It's $309. It usually is $399, so it's 22% off. So I think it dropped 20 or $30 since last week. So it keeps going down with the with the iWatch Series 9 coming out. So anyways, long story short, not a bad deal on Amazon. Definitely check it out. Price subject to change though. All right, Apple gets you one way or the other, and I always promise you they will in the end. If you look over here, it says Apple selling $29 USB-C to Lightning adapter for your iPhone charging port. We all know that Apple went to USB-C in all their phones and their EarPods and everything else. Now they're going to get you with this cable for $29 because of all your old stuff that uses Lightning. One way or the other, they get you. Although it's not $30 or $49, which I would have expected. It's only $29, but it's still $29 more than you really should have to spend. All right, this is a funny story. Now let's hear me out on this. I have a theory on this. So it says over here, woman swallowed her iPod after mistaking it for a vitamin. All right, what? All right, hear me out. So it says down here that she had vitamins in one hand and her AirPods in the other, even with the big stems, and she's put them in her mouth and they got stuck and she's looked in her hand and she had the vitamins. All right, back in the day, 3,000 or 4,000 years ago, if you jumped into a fire pit and you burned up, right, you couldn't reproduce, natural selection. Smarter people would live, dumber people would be gone, right? Nowadays, people do this all the time, and then they sue the companies like Apple. They make a ton of money, and they reproduce more, making more of these dummies, right? Anyways, that's my theory. So I don't like it because it's just one of those things, like if you're walking down an aisle and you see water and you walk into it and you slip, same thing, right? But anyways, you get the idea. It's a funny story. I don't know how anyone could actually swallow those, and if you do, again, I mean, it's just your own fault. All right, this next 9 to 5 story is a sad one. A little sad, right? It says no M3 powered Macs coming this year, Koy says. So if you look down here, it says Apple Ming Chai Koy has bad news, Apple fans. So he's saying that no M3 MacBooks are coming out this year. They're getting pushed to 2024. Now, take this with a grain of salt because these are the same people saying that they were coming out just a couple months ago. So you don't know. They still might come out in October, but it looks less likely now that he's saying that these M3 chips with these Macs are coming out. I still think they might come out in October. I'm going to stick to that. He's saying they're not. We know the other guy, I forget his name, but he's always wrong too, so who knows at this point. All right, Apple Insider has this story, but I always add one of these. They're fun to listen to. So Steve Jobs signed iPad Plus check in unopened iPhones. You can see this right here. He signed this. He gave it to a coworker, this iPad, and he said something like, thanks for the hard work. She kept it, and now it's going to be on auction. It says it's going to fetch at least $10,000, but it's already up to like $17,000 or $20,000 at auction, so it's going to make a lot more, trust me. But then they go on to say that someone has an unopened iPhone in here at $20,000 price. I can't imagine. It says not too long ago, one sold for $158,000. Unopened iPhone, $158,000. Who's buying these things? Again, I keep saying this, like, there's so many of them out there. I mean, people probably kept them and they're just buried somewhere. I wouldn't buy them for that much money. Now they're selling for $20,000 instead of $158,000. This thing over here, the Steve Jobs one, I might frame it. That might go up in value. Obviously, he's not here any longer, and it's you can put it up in a frame or something. So that one might be a good investment if you can get it for $10,000 or $20,000. But still, I'd rather have a car. All right, so the new iPhone came out, and let's take a look at some notes here. It says Geekbench results show how much faster the iPhone 15 Pro's A17 chip is, all right? So how much faster? It's got a kind of a chart down here. This will show you right in here, so you can see it right there. So here's the A17 Pro right there, and there's the A16. So the A16 single core was 2519. The A17 Pro single core is 2914. You can see a big jump there. And then from the multi-core, it went to 6367 to 7199. You can see the M1 down here just in comparison. Long story short, it says that it's gone up 20-25%, somewhere in that range. Not a bad, it's obviously a pretty big jump. Usually they're like 15% or something. This might be 20-something percent. Not, do you have to upgrade? No, unless you like some of the other features, but it's a pretty good jump here. And these chips are just so fast for what they are for a phone. They're as fast as the M1, the laptop sitting right here. So I don't know if you need that much power on a phone, but it's there. All right, the next one is about all the money that Apple makes. It's kind of a fun story. It says lawyer objects to claims about how much Google pays Apple to be the default search engine, all right? So if you kind of scroll down in here, so long story short, it says, in other words, if you enter a search term in the combined address in the search bar, that search will be carried out by Google on an iPhone, all right? So Google pays the Apple to put that search on their iPhone, and how much do they actually pay them? This is the crazy part. It says, since then, the sum is believed to have steadily increased. In 2017, it was around $3 billion, 2018, $9 billion, 2020, $10 billion, and worth $18 to $20 billion last year. $20 billion just to have the search function on an iPhone. Think about that, and think about the size of your company that you work for. If it's a $2 or $3 billion company, how big that is. They're getting $20 billion just from that. I mean, you can see what's going on here. So when Apple kind of discontinues products that don't make them a lot of money, now you see why. All right, so the next article is another funny one. It says Belgium to review iPhone 12 radiation risks following a France ban. So if you haven't heard this, France just recently banned the iPhone 12 for radiation reasons, all right, which is really concerning. Obviously, it says Apple has rejected these findings. Let me just state that, all right? So that's important. But it says that France regulators have banned sales of iPhone 12 as it claimed the iPhone's radiation exposure exceeded legal limits. Well, what about the 13, the 14, the 15? Who knows, right? But anyways, so Belgium's now jumping on board, which is kind of interesting there. And then it says down here that somewhat conveniently, Apple stopped selling the iPhone 12. So right when they're getting sued about it, they're stopping the sale of it, and who knows what's going on here. But long story short, it does say that after multiple studies, there's no scientific evidence that it can really affect you. But why is France doing this? Why is Belgium doing this now? We'll have to find out what they come up with. And if it's the iPhone 12, is it the 13, the 14? Apple's saying no, and we got to go with that. I don't want to have any legal issues or anything like that. But this article is from 9to5Mac, so I wanted just to bring it out there. Remember how I said Apple always gets you? Well, here's an article from 9to5Mac. It says you'll need to buy Apple's latest phone and earbuds to take full advantage of Apple Vision Pro. So the article is not that important if you read through it all, but what it's basically saying in a nutshell is you have to buy the iPhone 15, you have to upgrade to that, and you have to have the newest the earbuds, the newest earbuds, to get the full experience of using that. So overall, they went through the costs and everything like that, and it's like, obviously $3,500 for the actual goggles, then $1,200 for the phone that they're recommending, and then a couple $100 for the, you're talking $4,000 to $5,000 for this thing. So as we can see, it says it's coming out in early 2024. Apple announced that, so it's coming out soon. But now you got to upgrade your phone and everything else. They're going to get you one way or the other, and this is another way that they do it. All right, so the next article is about the iPhone 15 again, and it says right here that the iPhone 15 battery's life, what you get and how it compares to the iPhone 14. So there's just a good chart down here. Let's take a look at it. So if you look at that, this is the Pro Max here. So back in the iPhone 12, it was 20 hours of video playback, and now it's 29 hours, all right? And then the iPhone 12 Max was 80 hours of audio playback, and now it's 95. So you can see it progressed. But if you look here between the 14 and 15, the numbers are the same right there. See it? And then if you go to the Pro, the numbers are the same. Then if you go to the Pro down here, the numbers are the same. And then if you go down to the iPhone 15 straight one, so from the last one, none of the numbers changed, right? This seems like it's the first year that it didn't. So all these other years, they've been going up as far as the battery. This year, they didn't. Who knows why? We're going to have to find out at the next model, especially if they go to the smaller nanometer chip. It's probably going to be a better power. It's going to use less power. But for now, it hasn't changed one bit since the last one. All right, if you're an iCloud user, here's a couple good things or maybe some bad things, I don't know. It says Apple introduces a new 6 terabyte and 12 terabyte iCloud storage tier, and they're priced at $30 and $60 a month. So as we go down, you can see that it says 2 terabytes of storage for $9.99 a month. That is not a good deal, and everyone keeps saying that. That's kind of the beginning. But these other ones I think are a little bit fair. It's hard to say. $30 for 6 terabytes. 6 terabytes is a lot of space, and you got to keep it online and stuff. But $30 a month is still what, $360 a year. Anyways, they're available now up to 12 terabytes if you want them, so I just wanted to announce that. All right, from Apple Insider, another funny one. So we just talked about the cloud storage. Apple keeps kind of marketing that. But then Apple goes on to say, Apple security message, keep data safe by keeping it out of the cloud, all right? So this goes on to say that the chips on their phones and other things can protect health information on the watches and stuff, and it keeps it local versus moving it to the cloud. Here it is right here, what they're saying, right? So I read the article and then I went back and I said, well, Apple always tells you to use iCloud. Doesn't that kind of a clash? But long story short, you can say one thing and sell the other. It's kind of funny. So I don't know exactly what that means. It's just one of those stories that kind of catches your eye because you read it and you're like, wait a second. Didn't they tell you to use iCloud all the time? And now they're telling you just keep out of it to be safe. So it makes you scratch your head. Just a new feature. Again, this is with iOS 17 in case you didn't know about it. So if you use SharePlay up here, it says how to use SharePlay with CarPlay in iOS 17. That's not really what I wanted to talk about, but I wanted to talk about the new feature in general. So here it says, in iOS 17, anyone in the car can control the music from their device with the help of SharePlay, and here's how to do it. So long story short, you can actually open, let's say your phone's connected to CarPlay. There's something where you can do is anyone else that has an iPhone can try to connect in and the person can allow them in. And then anybody in the car can actually share CarPlay and actually pick from the list of music to play and do all that kind of stuff. That's a good thing and a bad thing because if you've ever been in a car with a lot of people before and the people are fighting for the next song, do you really want them to have control or do you want to have control all to yourself? I like to keep it to myself, but if you like it the other way, this is not a bad idea. All right, iPhone 15, right here it says iPhone 15 Pro gets direct record to external storage, but iPhone 15 still has lightning speeds. So I don't know if you heard this before, but basically iPhone 15 Pro gets direct record to external storage. So if you're filming something, you can record directly to external storage with those huge files now, especially the new 48 megapixel format and stuff. It's really good if you're doing like movies on your on your phone. Now, I don't recommend it all the time, but the camera is so good you can do that now, and you can record a long time. You won't fill up your phone space, so you can just record directly to external storage. The other story here, though, that's crazy is iPhone 15 still has lightning speeds. Even though they changed to USB-C, which is supposedly a way faster connection, which I'll get into in a second, the 15 doesn't allow that. They kind of cap it basically at the lightning speed, and I'll get into what that is in a second, but it's really slow actually. So only the advanced phones and iPhone 15 series get the updated speed with USB-C. All right, we've been talking about this monitor for a long time. Let's just kind of show you the differences here, and I'm still saying no one's going to buy this. So if you look here, Apple Studio Display versus Samsung ViewFinity S9. So we all have heard about this comparison. Here's a good graph though, and again, this is from Apple Insider. It says down here, so the price is basically the same for the base model of both of these. 27-inch, same resolution, same panel, basically. P3 color range the same, 600 nits of brightness the same, everything, pixels per inch the same refresh rates. So the only difference is our microphone. It has a 3 mic array on the Studio Display, and this only has, I think, 1 or 2. And then it's got a 6 speaker system on the Apple display, and only 2 on the other Samsung ViewFinity. The Samsung ViewFinity does win on the stand. It's a way better tilt, height, and pivot stand, where this other one you have to spend an extra $400, so that's the main difference there. But if you look here, there's not much of a difference at all, which is kind of crazy. So $15.99 versus $15.99, I still see nobody buying the ViewFinity S9. I honestly thought it was going to be $9.99 in a street price of less than that. Now it looks like it's going to be $15.99. In about 6 months, I think that street price will go down to about $11.99, $10.99. That's what I think it's got to be before it can sell any of these things. But you tell me, would you buy this for $15.99? Because I wouldn't. All right, so let's wrap up the news now. Post comments, let me have questions, and I'll try to answer them the best I can. I have so many coming in now that I try to get to all of them. I've been doing it, but it's very, very difficult, so you may have to wait a couple days. And I will talk to you in the next video. I have a ton of new products coming out. I have some really cool hubs, more SSDs. I have a mini computer coming out, so subscribe to the channel if you like tech, if you like Apple news. I mix it up with a whole bunch of different products, and I have a whole bunch of new stuff coming in, and we will talk to you soon. Peace.